Our next presenter is a marine biologist, Oregon State University professor, and the director of the Global Coral Microbiome Project. Dr. Rebecca Vega Thurber's work takes her to underwater habitats in the Red Sea, in the Caribbean, and in the Pacific to investigate the microbial and viral ecology of threatened tropical reef marine species. Her research has appeared in media outlets including Science Nation, CBS This Morning, NBC News, and The Guardian, and even garnered a mention on the Colbert Report. But can she school us in the causes of coral reef decline in only 5 minutes? Please help me welcome Dr. Rebecca Vega Thurber.
All right, hello everyone. So today I want to start by thanking you all. You guys might not know this, but you're all my bosses here. If you pay taxes, unlike Donald Trump, you contribute to all of the funds that help allow us to study the coral reef decline that I'm going to talk to you about. And so today I'm going to kind of take you on a journey. And it's not the happiest of journeys, it's a bit of a sad journey. But I'm going to try to take you to some nice, beautiful places along the way to describe to you what we know about the microbiology of coral reef decline. So the first place we're going to go to is the island of Moorea. This is one of our field sites. Moorea is the island next to Tahiti, and it's very far from most large cities and a lot of human habitation. And it's a very iconic coral reef. It has these crystal clear blue waters that you see, and underneath those waves that are crashing, it has these brown structures. And those are really the star of our show today. Those are the corals. And corals, they build this reef structure, and that reef structure provides food and habitat to all of the animals that live on coral reefs. So one of the things that's really important about coral reefs is that they occupy only 2% of the world's oceans, but they contribute to 25% of all marine species. And to really understand coral reefs, you have to get to the microscopic level. What you see in this image now, this is a coral animal. Corals are animals, those polyps that are moving. I'm going to show it one more time. Oops, I'm going to go back. It's not going to go forward. But those polyps that were moving, those are the animals, and they're in the background of what you saw before. If I can get it to play again. Let's see. It's not going to play again, but there were some green dots in that fluorescent image. And those fluorescent dots are very important for the success of coral reefs because they're the microbes that fuel corals. So there's this symbiotic relationship between corals and symbiotic algae. And that algae are the solar cells that provide all of the energy and sugar to the corals that allow them to essentially live in a habitat like you see here on this image that's essentially a desert. But in addition to having this important symbiosis, that symbiosis is also the Achilles heel of corals in the age of climate change. So there's a lot of things going on in the world that are impacting biodiversity overall. And those aren't any different here in coral reefs. So there's local and global stressors like overfishing, like pollution through sewage and fertilizer input to the oceans, like sedimentation from rivers through the production of dams and mines, and also coastal destruction. In fact, our lab right now is in Colombia investigating the destruction of a coral reef there. But the real elephant in the room, or in this case, this bear in the room, is climate change, because climate change, its arms extend so far across our planet that it affects all coral reefs worldwide. In fact, how bad is it? Well, if you guys have been following the news, this article came out in Outside Magazine last week, and it went viral because it essentially used an obituary as a way to discuss climate change and its effects on coral reefs. And they declared the Great Barrier Reef dead. But this is a satirical article. It was also somewhat inaccurate, and had very hyperbolous. So how bad is it really? Well, the point of this article resulted from this. So this is an image from the Great Barrier Reef, another place we study. This is the Northern Great Barrier Reef, and this is an event that happened in April of 2016, so just a few months ago. And if you remember those images from Moorea, corals should be dark because they contain those algae that are like plants and have pigments. But you can see here that instead these reefs have become white because temperatures have elevated so much in these reefs that the relationship between those corals and the algae have fallen apart. And the algae have left the corals, and all you have left is the coral and its skeleton, which is white. And we call this coral bleaching. And coral bleaching is continuing as climate change interacts with things like El Nino. And unfortunately, after several months of investigating this, we now know that we've lost approximately 20% of the entire Great Barrier Reef. So now we have a reef that wouldn't look like this, to a reef that now looks like this, to a seascape that looks like this, to one looks like this. And I just want to remind you that the Great Barrier Reef, it's a very large place. It's the size of Japan. So imagine if Japan was covered with an entire rainforest and you cut down 20% of it in 3 months. So it's a grim story, but there are many roads to recovery. And there are many things that we can do as a community and as a society